This is Sydney Sweeney,
Hey, eyes up here.
and she just had one of the worst box office weekends in movie history. Her latest film made barely over $1 million. 3 movies this year, all massive flops. And the worst part, the White House is defending her on Twitter while her co-stars won't even do press with her. What happened? This is Sydney Sweeney, the girl from Euphoria who was everywhere 2 years ago. Big movies, massive brand deals, millions of followers. Then 2025 hit and everything fell apart. Her new boxing movie Christy just broke a record nobody wants to break. It dropped 91% in its second weekend, the worst drop in box office history. Before that, her movie Eden made $2.5 million on a $35 million budget. Before that, Americana made less than $500,000. 3 bombs in a row. But here's what nobody's talking about. Between all these flops, Sydney's been in the middle of the biggest controversies of the year. She sold soap with her actual bathwater in it. Then came that American Eagle jeans ad that had everyone calling her a white supremacist. Reports came out she registered as a Republican in June 2024, right before the election. President Trump tweeted about her, Vice President Vance defended her on a podcast, tech billionaires turned her into a right-wing icon overnight. And through all of this, Sydney stayed completely silent until last month. No statements, no apologies, no clarification. Just silence while half the internet called her a Nazi and the other half made her their conservative hero. So what's really going on here? Is Sydney Sweeney's career actually over? Or is there something bigger happening that we're all missing? Let's start with the bathwater. In May 2025, Sydney partnered with Dr. Squatch, a men's soap company, to release a limited edition bar that contains her actual bathwater. 5,000 bars. They sold out in seconds. People were reselling them online for over $1,000. The company made it sound like a joke, like they were in on it. But the product was real. Sydney really did sit in a bathtub, they really did bottle the water, and they really did put it in soap bars. The internet lost it. People said she was setting women back decades, that she was basically doing OnlyFans content but calling it a brand deal. But here's the thing, Sydney defended it. She told the Wall Street Journal it was mainly girls complaining about it, which she thought was interesting because everyone loved the idea of Jacob Elordi's bathwater from that scene in Saltburn. She basically said women were being hypocrites. That response didn't help, because selling bathwater isn't new. Belle Delphine did it back in 2020 and made millions. But Belle Delphine was always that person, you know? That was her whole brand. Sydney Sweeney was supposed to be different. She was an Emmy-nominated actress from one of the biggest shows on TV. She had a production company, she was making serious movies, and now she was selling bathwater to guys on the internet. Then July happened. American Eagle dropped their fall campaign with the tagline, "Sydney Sweeney has great genes." Seems normal, right? Except a video showed Sydney talking about genetics. She said genes are passed down from parents to offspring, determining traits like hair color, personality, and eye color. Then she looked at the camera and whispered, "My genes are blue." Blue jeans, blue eyes. You see where this is going. The backlash was instant. People said the ad was promoting eugenics. They pointed out Sydney is blonde, blue-eyed, and white, and here she was talking about genetics in a jeans commercial. Columbia University professors weighed in, saying the campaign was deeply infused with eugenic messaging. Others compared it to Nazi propaganda. MSNBC called it a cultural shift toward whiteness. But here's what made it worse. The ad was basically copying a famous Calvin Klein campaign from 1980 with Brooke Shields when she was 15 years old. That campaign got slammed for sexualizing a minor. Now Sydney was recreating it as an adult. But the message felt even more sinister because of the whole genes versus genes thing. American Eagle pulled the video from their social channels, but didn't apologize. They released a statement saying the campaign is, and always was, about the genes. Her genes, her story. That was it. And Sydney? She said nothing. For months, complete silence. While Sydney stayed quiet, the internet detective work started. People dug up her voter registration and found out she registered as a Republican in Florida on June 14, 2024. Not 10 years ago, not when she was young and didn't know better. 5 months before the election. She was living in Florida, bought a mansion there, and registered Republican right in the middle of all this. That's when it became a political thing. President Trump was asked about the ad controversy and said, "Oh, now I love her ad. She's a registered Republican? If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic." Then Vice President J.D. Vance went on a podcast and said his political advice to Democrats is to keep calling everyone who thinks Sydney Sweeney is attractive a Nazi. That's a great strategy. Suddenly, tech billionaires were posting about her nonstop. Mark Andreessen made her his Twitter cover photo. Paul Graham from Y Combinator was analyzing her facial expressions in interviews. These billionaires, who usually ignore celebrity gossip, were turning Sydney into the symbol of anti-woke culture, and she still wasn't saying anything. In November, GQ magazine finally got her on camera to talk about it. The interview went viral, but for all the wrong reasons. The journalist Kat Stoufel asked pretty basic questions. She asked if Sydney was surprised that Trump and all these powerful people defended her. She gave Sydney multiple chances to say, "Hey, I don't support white supremacy. That's not what the ad was about." Sydney never took those chances. She kept saying, "I did a jeans ad. I was surprised by the reaction, but I love jeans." She says she didn't really see the controversy because she was filming Euphoria and doesn't bring her phone to set, which sounds convenient when you're avoiding talking about something that had the President of the United States tweeting about you. The worst part? After the interview, those same tech billionaires turned on the journalist. They posted photos of Kat Stoufel saying, "Look at this woke journalist trying to take down innocent Sydney." They analyzed her appearance, made fun of her facial expressions, turned her into a meme. Mark Andreessen tweeted about her dozens of times. A 65-year-old billionaire spending his day attacking a female journalist for doing her job. And this is where it gets really interesting, because while all this culture war stuff was happening, Sydney's movies were completely bombing. Americana came out in August and made less than $500,000. Eden came out and lost over $30 million. Then Christy premiered in November and made $1.3 million opening weekend. Christy was supposed to be her Oscar movie. She gained 30 pounds, trained for months to play real boxer Christy Martin, completely transformed herself. Critics actually liked her performance, but nobody went to see it. It opened in over 2,000 theaters and couldn't break $2 million. Then it dropped 91% the next weekend, the worst second weekend drop in box office history. Some people are saying the controversies killed her career, that women who used to support her stopped buying tickets because of the bathwater and the jeans ad, that liberal audiences who loved Euphoria decided they were done with her. But conservatives who defended her online, they didn't show up to theaters either. They just tweeted about her. And that's the trap she fell into. Sydney Sweeney became this symbol for the right-wing internet. But those people don't actually watch movies. They just argue about culture war stuff online. Meanwhile, the people who do go to movies, especially women, they were done with her. There's also drama with her Euphoria co-star Zendaya. Reports came out allegedly saying they're in a bitter feud and Sydney's refusing to do press with Zendaya for season 3. Nobody knows exactly why, but people are speculating it's about politics. Zendaya's pretty openly progressive. She speaks out about issues, supports causes. Sydney's playing this both sides game, trying to keep everyone happy, and it's not working. The thing is, Sydney talked about all of this in interviews before. She said Hollywood doesn't pay actors like it used to. She said she needs to do brand deals just to pay her bills, that she can't afford to take 6 months off. But people looked into it and found out she's worth at least $40 million. She owns multiple mansions. She bought back her family's generational home. She's not struggling. So why is she doing so bad and controversial campaigns? It seems like she's trying to make as much money as possible as fast as possible before her fame runs out, which is exactly what happened. She milked her Euphoria fame for everything she could, did every brand deal offered to her, and now audiences are tired of her. In early December, Sydney finally spoke again. She told People magazine, "I'm against hate," which is about as vague as you can get. She said many have assigned motives and labels to me that just aren't true. But she still didn't actually say what her beliefs are. She didn't clarify what she thinks about the American Eagle ad. She just said people misunderstood her. Too little, too late. Her next movie, The Housemaid, comes out later this month, going up against the new Avatar movie. Unless something changes, that's probably gonna bomb too. And then what? More brand deals? More controversial ads? A pivot to conservative media like Gina Carano? The crazy thing is, Sydney had everything. She was talented, beautiful, famous, rich. She could have been the next big Hollywood star, but she chose to lean into controversy for money instead of building a real, lasting career. She thought she could play both sides, keep the liberal Hollywood crowd happy, while also cashing in on conservative culture war stuff. Turns out you can't. You have to pick a side, and by trying to stay neutral, she ended up making everyone angry. So what happens next? Maybe The Housemaid somehow becomes a hit and saves her career. Maybe she goes full conservative and starts doing Daily Wire movies. Maybe she disappears for a few years and comes back with an apology tour. Or maybe this is just how Hollywood works now. Get famous fast, cash out faster, burn out before you turn 30. Whatever happens, Sydney Sweeney's story is a warning. Fame isn't forever. Internet support means nothing if people don't buy tickets. And when you let tech billionaires turn you into a culture war symbol, you stop being a person and become a meme. And memes don't last. Subscribe for more. Bye.